Hela Kasla. We got Hila Toslach Hamaslo. Anugo am not Nemukwit Alas. Chodos Helikilis. Kayus Lacha Muskimok Saudaino. Chanux Yakhopaka. Kayus Lacha Sigaskamukukas auch. We wish la ola kala wenam la enitli. Kasidas Kachid La Chuch Amas. Lagia os la Quadzi. Greetings, loved ones. Give me your good ear. My name is Thomas Wamas. My dad's name is Spruce Wamas, from the 4 tribes of the Kinkum Inlet. My mom's name is Hazel Clare, from the 5 tribes of the Quetzino. I am hoping to gain a lot from walking from Victoria to Port Hardy. We namacha eda chumash la like la weda yatsum tkolim. Yakwa gwayu cancer. Gika kalach chanuk naslamut. Lodla numsa yatsum tkolim. Also have hopes of gaining strides against the fight against that sickness of cancer, thinking about our brothers who were taken from that bad disease. He'em chawis la lutlacha Weithle sut da naka chuk da yatsum maka sowa. Also hopes to encourage others to stop drinking that bad stuff, alcohol and drugs. Kinike la yudu chun ki la chwa Septemberech. La mis latlen o la ala ikulacha naka gwikigilasa. He wachen mayaslasen gwikidas o la ala nakident nala. I say, this coming September, it's been 3 years that I have gained the victory over alcoholism. I have never regretted what I had done. It has given me a bright new day. Now, just a little bit about that speech and how it came to be and what it is now. A while ago, well, it was probably just over a year ago now, being May 9th, I believe. Anyways, all of this ideas about healthier lifestyles and being sober, healing from the inside and dealing with stuff that I was holding on to, because what I was holding on to made me create somebody else so that I could fit in. And when I was trying to fit in, I was pleasing other people. That I was a people pleaser, and it didn't do me anything for me. It helped others, whatever it was that I did for them, even including working. I only worked hard enough to get a paycheck so I can go to the liquor store in my drinking days. So me dealing with my own stuff from the inside has allowed me to create in my own mind to accept myself for who I am. And when I first stepped into who I wasn't even Thomasina. I was Thomas. At the time, it was what they call an alcoholic, but I don't even call myself that. I don't use labels. I've never liked them. So, for those people that it works for, all the power to you. But for me, it just creates more chaos that shouldn't even be there. But in all of this that I'm doing with regards to the walk and writing my book and who I'm writing this book for and why, it is called, My Story, A Child That Matters. It's me talking about the world that was created, by dad and mom, so this book is about them conquering residential school and surviving. That's why they're survivors. I can't even imagine, especially reading Uncle Bobby's book, um, Numute. I can't get over, I'm just getting into it, and he talks about, incidences happened in there, and I can't even imagine what it must have been like for all of those students taken away from their homes and then just thrown in there like that. And they are survivors, and we're here because of them. We exist because they survived. We are still here, and that's where this whole concept of my book and everything that I'm doing is coming from. It's stepping into yourself and getting to know who you are from the standpoint of being human, not being First Nations, not being whites, but being human and accepting everything that's going on, because where we are now is we have to accept each other in order for it to work. We have to come to one and have it work. And when we get into that area of stepping into it, this is where it's all coming into play. Like, for me to give up sobriety and everything else in order to get to where I am, I had to overcome so many obstacles, because without overcoming anything, you get comfortable. So the biggest problem with problems is we believe we don't have to have any. How else will we progress forward if we don't have to overcome something? And that fear that stops so many of us, that scared step to take that step forward out of that, I love the phrase, fear is invisible. Like, you can't, there's nothing pushing you down. There's nothing there. We create that pressure on ourselves. But that same pressure can, it can either burst a pipe or it can create a diamond, So it's all about how you look at that pressure. We all have pressure, and it's what we do with it that counts. But I'm just trying to tie everything together that I'm doing with regards to who I am and where it's coming from and the direction that I'm going with regards to the sobriety walk and my story, A Child That Matters. I'm going to quickly read you a rough draft of the dedication and the introduction, and it'll give you an idea of where it's going, and I'll give a little bit of a talk about the rest of the book after I'm done this. So, I'll go. My Story, A Child That Matters, by Thomasina Wamas. The dedication. In the world we see in the now, I can remember most of it either being introduced to society or being built. From the home rotary phones and waiting to make long-distance phone calls after 6 p.m. to unlimited calls on cell phones, emails, and social media. Family entertainment went from antennas, VHS, and DVD to Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Disney Plus. Information was obtained in libraries and encyclopedias to Google on the internet. Family gathered at mom and dad's to now FaceTime chats. These are all a few of what I'll call the commonalities to everyone. I will back it up a little bit farther to put things into perspective with regards to where my story, A Child That Matters, originates. My dad, Spruce Wamas, was born before there was any interaction with the colonized world of the Europeans and Christianity. Dad says I caught the tail end of it, when we didn't have to pay for anything. No rent, no hydro. We didn't even have to pay for food, he says. Dad had been taken from his parents at a young age and was forced to attend residential school. He was not allowed to speak our language or even be with his family. If he was caught speaking our language, he was punished for it, even as horrific as it must have been. Dad, being the humble man that he is, never spoke too badly about what had happened. It is only in recent conversations now that it was pointed out that he may have blocked out a lot of the really bad times. But honestly, I choose to believe it was Dad's humble way of perceiving the world for what it can be, not for what it was. Having this in mind, everything from the day that Dad was taken from his parents all those years ago, and everything that has happened, including me and my siblings being here, everything, including the community I grew up in, was new to all of us. We never had schools for the children to attend, but the community was the ones that taught, guided, and raised them. We didn't have grocery stores, but we were never hungry, and everyone was taken care of. These are these are the days that Dad spoke of when he says he caught the tail end of it. Now that Dad has gone on to the spirit world, and my Uncle Stan, they were the last two siblings of theirs. This hits on so many levels for real. I mean, I'm sure I'm sure I'm always going to be the baby of my siblings, but now, me being 50, I am among the elders of the family. I went from being one of the uncles to being one of the papas. This concept is new to me, but Dad and his siblings, they were here before, meaning they became elders, and the love, connection, teachings, and so many loving memories being together with them will never be forgotten. It is our obligation to pass on how we came to be and where we came from. My story is about me, yes, but I dedicate this to my dad, as it is his strength and mindset is what made it possible for me to even exist. This is the memories of how I came to be in the world that was forced upon us in this colonized world. Wikich apiko lacha, agatlatsi, mokwacha lahecha, ala musnala. Let's all gather at the house of learning moving forward. To, let's all gather at the house of learning, respecting the past, moving forward to a new day. This is the introduction to my book. I am of the first generations that has been created from the hells of residential school, and I can see so much of the pain, sorrow, frustrations, anger, or anything that has had nothing but a negative impact on the lives of the First Nations people. I can relate to the times of the residential schools. Our way of life before that was family and environment, knowing where we stood within the family structures, community structures, and cultural protocol structures. We had the utmost respect for and we belonged to the natural environment. Giving thanks to all the Mother Nature provided, our clothing, our diet, our medicine, our classrooms, and our universities. It was our way of life. We came from a strong connection physically, culturally, spiritually, and respectfully as a people, taking only what was needed. During the ban of the potlatches, our children were ripped from their homes, their families, and their communities. We all know the devastating, horrific living nightmares of what had happened to our children of those days. But the effects are still causing today's First Nations people to suffer in so many levels, not knowing how to do the simple things in life that most of us take for granted. Life's simplest things become barriers of not knowing where we fit, not knowing how to ask for help. And sadly, not knowing has led some of our people away from their true identity of being First Nations. They went corporate so far they did not know where they stand in their own culture or families. This, of course, both being volunteer or circumstantial to entities like the ministry. But within the culture of the First Nations people, this would never have been an issue. We would not leave our families with the last resort of being homeless or to suffer enough in sorrow and get stuck in addiction. All these luxuries of this colonized world of consuming has weakened us as we started to seek validation of where we stand, with no clear understanding of how to stand in our own mind and thoughts, being so lost that we don't even know that it's okay to say, "Can you help me?" or "I don't understand." Being stuck in that dark place of confusion and sorrow, not allowing whether not knowing whether or not you matter. There is a point in your mind where you get to and you understand that enough is enough, and you tell yourself you do not want the misery of being stuck in a dark place anymore. The message I am putting forward in this book is I am right here, living proof that it's possible. We all have it in us to become more than we are, better than we are, more capable than we are. We can make the comeback greater than the setback. I can go on and on about how I trained my mind to do the impossible with the belief in myself and how it literally changed my life until I'm blue in the face, and I will. But when I sat back and really thought about what the main reasons I started drinking in the first place, now this is where I faced my oldest demon. The oldest demon that I held within my subconscious mind. It is the person we all see today. Some call me Tom, Tommy, or Thomas, along with some other variations, of course, living on the res. And some call me Thomasina. Thomasina has been who I hid from the public eye up until my 49th birthday. By doing this in my early years, I had to magnify my masculinity in those days of my puberty, because bi or same-sex relations, or long before pronouns were even a thing, male and females were only seen as that. Same-sex gender relationships we never seen, heard of, or it was definitely not accepted. So I developed this urge to be that guy. I had to be that guy that could. As you will hear throughout my story, having said that, my curiosities I only kept I only kept it from the public eye, meaning I was not even true to myself. I am the youngest of 7 siblings, and it was not a conversation that anyone really had within the family. I did not know what was happening to my body or why my thoughts were the way they were. I did not know that the changes were natural and everyone would be going through them. Not only did I do all that I could to keep the hairs off, my thoughts brought so many curiosities about both the male and female anatomies. This, of course, bringing me to explore my own body in private and made me more curious about others. There were others with similar interests, and yes, some of them curiosities came to life. We tried a variety of sexual acts together. At first, it was mutual masturbation and looking at porn. We all know this is a common occurrence among males hitting puberty, whether we admit it or not. But this led to other acts of bringing out curiosities, and touching started. It did lead to more, I won't lie. There were a few that were curious, but when explored, they decided they didn't want it anymore. Some of us, so, did take the time and found places to indulge in our curiosities together. As time progressed, we all went our own separate ways, and the sexuality of that time became non existent, or dormant at the very least. Not to say that sex was the only part of me that was different or hidden. I also enjoyed the feel of women's clothing, mainly underclothes, panties, thongs, and or lingerie under my guy clothes. I tell you this because even though I hid who I was from the public eye, I was still who I was when I reached that coming of age part of my life. Over the years of hiding who I truly am, I did not allow myself to learn more about it. Now that I am comfortable enough to open and to be open about how I like to dress and admit to myself what my sexuality is, I feel such a weight lifted off of my shoulders, not allowing the opinions, words, or actions of others to decide, alter, blind my perception or the direction of the life that I choose to live. This is where I found the confidence to be uniquely, genuinely, truthfully, and openly me. When I realized that who I really am is someone with a unique shine. It is my shine, and it is who I am. When you reach that point of being true to you, life opens up so many doors and it becomes something better. Your confidence starts to rebuild the empire within, and life literally becomes a magical place. But this small portion of my life has been the start of the person of who I am today. Many of the talents and capabilities that come naturally, not limited to my physical presence, but my words, energy, and thought process, influence, and leadership skills as well. Many loved ones, family, and friends that have become family taught me lessons in ways I'm sure they have no idea. In fact, some of the ones mentioned in my story that I've reached out to were surprised that I even remember certain moments in our time together from as far back as grade one. My memory is quite vivid of most of my life, but my story is about many of the impacts that has formed me to be fucking unstoppable with the mindset and manifestation of positivity and creativity. These are all the life lessons I've taken into my soul. Keeping in mind, this book is not designed on factual information, but rather personal experience and my interpretations from them. What I am now is just not only being created, but written as well. And I'm going to be tying the rest of this book. Um, I'm going to be writing between now and the second annual walk. It's going to be September 15th, 2023. That's my third year sobriety. And I tell you this because not even 3 years ago, I had no idea about this book. Not even 3 years ago, this walk wasn't even a thing. Not even 3 years ago, none of this of who I am was even in my mind at the time. But what I did was I stepped in my potential and I leaned right into it and I went back to our people. That's why this is dedicated to Dad. Even my counselor has been telling me that I seem to be decolonizing myself with the whole things with regards to who I am and how I interpret it with, especially with this whole pronouns thing. Um, it's pronouns to me add more confusion in a place where there doesn't need to be confusion in the first place. Two-spirited people are two-spirited people because they can walk into both worlds. They are accepted in our culture. They're celebrated in our culture. They are acknowledged as unique and they have special capabilities like what I learned to accept is the cooking and baking thing is a part of that, is a part of my femininity because I love to provide for people that I love. And that's a very strong, feminine quality when it comes to food and people. The fact of giving and that. But what I'm saying is the pronoun things, like I don't say that I'm he, she, or they, or whatever. You call me what you see. Because no matter, I tell you this, no matter what you say about who I am, I'm not going to change. So why would I change what you say about who I am because of who I am? I'm two spirited. I'm different. I'm unique. I got qualities from both the male and the female, and that is accepted. Once you accept that, there's no need for pronouns or anything. Just be who you are, two-spirited. That's just how I see it. That's how I perceive it. But all of this type of stuff, my physicality, and the weight loss, and the amount of walking and stuff that I do, everything that I'm doing is all tied together. And all of this I'm dedicating to Dad, Heligilis, our chief, my dad, Spruce Wellman. Wait.